Today's webinar is all about how to fast track your reach. And what that really means is how to make the tasks that you're doing on Pinterest more intentional and more focused on getting you closer to getting sales. One of the first things we'll talk about are the different steps that it takes for somebody to be introduced to your company and then eventually purchase with you. So we'll go over that together. We're going to deep dive into group boards, which they are just fantastic. We're going to talk about joining group boards and hosting group boards. And yeah, we're going to dive into analytics too and talk about how to read your analytics, what numbers are important, what different metrics that you should be looking at, and how you can actually use those metrics to find content that your fans really love and get an idea for what's working and what's not working with your profile. So let me pull open today's slideshow. All right, there we go. I think you guys should all be able to see that. I'll jump over to the beginning of the slideshow. Like I said before, today we're talking all about fast tracking your reach using Pinterest. What reach means is how many people are seeing your content. So the way it works is that we all have something to offer, and there's somebody out there who needs what we have and what we're offering. The trick is to find out how to get them, how to get their attention, how to get their awareness so that they realize that the option to work with you is out there, that it's available to them. A lot of times we have a problem, but we don't even know that the solution is available, whether it's a phone call away or just, you know, a click away if we're purchasing a product in a store. So the first step in introducing people to your business is reaching them. It's getting a piece of your content or a piece of your message or a piece of your branding in front of their eyes. And that is considered reach. And that's what we're going to really focus on today, is how to get more reach, how to get more people to know about your business and to be aware of your business. All right, so we're going to cover three main topics today. We're going to talk about how you can look at your Pinterest analytics and find the information within that analytics that will tell you what are your best pins, which pins are getting you the most reach, which pins are the most active and getting you the most shares or repins. We're going to talk about you joining group boards. So in the 5 pillars video, I showed you a Pin Groupie demo. Pin Groupie is a great tool for finding group boards, and we're going to dive into that demo, but then take it a few layers deeper, a few steps further. There are some simple methods and techniques you can use when posting to group boards that will give you more results for the same dollar of energy that you're putting in. And lastly, we're going to talk about hosting your own group board. This can be a fantastic way to get brand exposure and build your following while establishing you as an authority in your industry. So let's dive in. Okay, so the first and kind of most important thing to know, about using your analytics is that there is a really clear system or series of steps customers take before they buy with you. First, what we just talked about were views. Views is similar to reach and similar to impressions. So this is just, is somebody seeing your pin or your profile? Is it actually showing up in front of their eyes? Then, once it shows up in front of their eyes, are they taking an action on it? And the two types of actions they can click, or they can repin your content, or they can simply click on your content to either read the article or to look at your profile. When somebody clicks to actually read the article, that's when they become a website visitor. And once somebody's on your website, it's then the job of your website to sell your product or service and convert that person into a customer or a client. And that is how we measure our sales. So just to review, somebody sees our content, our pin, our product, our service. They see it, then they can choose to take an action on it. They can share it by repinning it. They can click on it to learn more, and then they can become a website visitor. And that is how you create sales from Pinterest. Now, I put these little questions underneath each stage so that you understand what analytics will tie into these. So if you're interested in views, that's how many people are seeing your pins or profile. When you look at repins, that's how many people are sharing or saving your content. When we talk about clicks, that's the activity and interaction that your pin is creating. That's on other networks, we call this engagement. So it's how engaging your pin is. And then for website visitors, that's how many people are actually coming through to your website from Pinterest. And you can find that out mostly in Google Analytics is a really good source to find that out. And then from your website visitors, how many people are actually converting to paying customers. All right, now let's talk about how this applies to Pinterest Analytics. Okay, so with Pinterest Analytics, you have three main areas. I want you all to know that there is a very basic intro, a Pinterest Analytics tour available in the members area. So feel free to go watch that video if you want to get kind of the basics of what analytics is about. There are three main sections, and I introduced those in the tour. There's the Your Pinterest Profile section, there's Your Audience section, and then the Activity from Your Website section. For today's purposes, we're going to focus on two areas. First, Your Pinterest Profile, and second, Activity from Your Website. So when you're in the Your Pinterest Profile section, what analytics or metrics are available to us are impressions, which is equivalent to views or reach, repins, so that's the shares and the saves, clicks, and that's how people are engaging with your pin, and then your overall all-time stats. So I'm going to take you now into Pinterest Analytics and show you how to find your top performing pins and how to find your pins that are getting shared the most and getting clicked the most, and then how to find your power pins, or the pins that really are doing the most for your brand exposure. Okay, so let me swap screens. All right, so now we're here in my Pinterest profile. And the way to access analytics is to go up to the works wheel and go down to analytics. Once here, now you can look at your Pinterest profile. So this is the section that we're discussing right now. And I'm going to show you where to look in this section of your analytics so that you can find your best performing pins. And I'm going to show you what to do with these pins to help fast track your reach. Okay, so again, like I just talked about on the slideshow, we have impressions, we have repins, and we have clicks. So impressions are our views. If you remember that little series of steps a customer has to take, if you are not getting a lot of repins on your pin, you might look at two things. You might look at, first of all, are enough people seeing that pin? That number is the impressions. So down here, one of the things that we'll point out is these are your top 5 pins by the number of impressions or views they're getting every month. So let's take this easy to complete printable marketing plan as an example. So This pin is getting, nearly 40,000 views every 30 days. From that, about 288 people are clicking through the pin, and then 263 people are repinning it. These two metrics are really important. What I like to do with this information is if you click here on the pin name, it will open the pin, and then you can see how many repins you've gotten, how many people have liked the pin, and what board the pin is on. See over here how you can see what board it's on. So this pin is on a group board. This just reinforces how powerful group boards can be. This pin happens to be leading to an email opt-in on my website. So it's really important for me to try to keep the activity going on it. Now, one thing I want to do is look at my pin description, make sure that I like what it says, and kind of take note of the keywords. So a keyword here is marketing plan, marketing goals, grow my business. These are all little keywords that I incorporated into that description. All right, so now let's talk about what we can do with this pin. So we know how to find a pin that's getting a lot of impressions. What do we do with it? First, once you click on the pin, you can scroll down and you can see what boards the pin is on. This could give you ideas for more boards. So if you're interested in making more boards, this could be a place to find ideas for more boards. Second of all, you can look through and see if maybe it's on other group boards. So see here, I just kept hitting this see more boards link, and I noticed that somebody put the pin on another group board. In about 2 slides, we're going to talk about finding group boards, and this is one way that you can do that. Okay, so beyond finding boards and board ideas, you can also find related pins. All right, so I'm going to pause for a second because this is a really important part of today's lesson. We need to know what types of pins our fans like. And by pinning more of that type of content, we're likely to provide more value to our fans and get more exposure because these are items that are being repinned often. So I went to my top pin impressions. I found a pin that was doing exceptionally well. I clicked on it. I got some board ideas from the See More board section. And now I'm getting ideas for what to pin from this related pin section. What this looks like in your daily life is this. If you have 5 minutes only to dedicate to Pinterest in a given day, you don't want to waste your time scrolling through your news feed to find out what to pin. Instead, you're going to take that 5 minutes, go to one of your top pins, and pin some things from the related pins section. So I would quickly look through these. I always look at how many repins these pins are getting. So you want to choose ones that are getting more repins. So this one happens to be, it looks like it's getting a lot of repins. It's getting about 50 repins. It's reasons to write down goals and a free goal sheet. So I would actually click through to the website here. Double check that this is a good source, meaning it's not a spam site. Once I've kind of scrolled through and I made sure that this was, valuable content for my customers, then I'm going to pin it. So notice that I'm not repinning from the related pins. I'm actually clicking through to the website and creating a brand new pin. I do this for a few reasons, and one of which is because it makes you appear like more of a an authority and a source if you're creating original pins. As always, I want to recommend that you switch up the description. Oh, it's funny. It's not actually showing you guys the pin board that I'm. Let me switch screens. Hello. Switch screen so you can see the actual pinning activity now. Okay, so this is, I hit my pin it button on that page, and now I'm creating a pin. So first I go down to the little description icon, and I'm going to change this description. Remember from that top pin impression description, I said marketing plan and marketing goals and grow my business were the keywords I felt like that was ranking for. So I'll say great tool for creating a marketing plan to grow my business. Marketing goals. Worksheet for recording marketing goals. Okay, so at this point, I participate on Pinterest like I normally would. I find a board that I want to add this to, and I pin it. So that's it for finding, efficiently finding content that your fans are going to love. You're looking at your pins by top pin impression, and then you're scrolling down to related pins, and you're pinning from that pocket, that kind of section of little nugget of gold, because those are pins that your clients and customers and fans are really likely to appreciate. Okay, now let's go back to analytics and get a little bit deeper into what we're into the top pins by and repins and top pins by clicks. All right, so welcome back to Pinterest Analytics. Remember, we're in your Pinterest profile under impressions. So we know how to use this top pin impression section. We use it to find related pins that our fans and followers will love. If we go down to this top boards with pin impression section, this is where you identify what are the most important boards for you to be pinning to. So if the buy section here is not your own name, that tells you immediately that this is a group board that you should be pinning to often. You would make this board a priority to pin to at least weekly. And what it's telling me here is the things that I have pinned to this group board have reached about 50,000 people in the last 30 days. So that's huge brand exposure. And they've gotten a lot of clicks and a lot of repins. So in terms of that little step-by-step process we talked about, I'm getting the views, I'm getting the clicks, and I'm getting the repins. So this is a really high valuable board for me. When we scroll down, we can also see other group boards that are really, really producing results. All right, so we know how to use this boards with top pin impression section. Now let's quickly take a look at the repins. In this repin section, this is where you're going to find content that is kind of your most viral. Now, I hate using that term, you know, viral content. It's like, what's considered viral? If it gets shared 1,000 times in an hour, is that viral? I'd say so, but beyond that, we want to talk about content that's just, it's a match for your audience. The content that's getting repinned is, or the pins that are getting repinned are things that your audience is really loving, and you want to do more of this. This is where I love to get ideas for what kind of content I should create on my own website. So as you can see, this this pin right here, this is linking back to my website. But these other 4 don't link to my website, but have been creating a lot of action or activity in the past 30 days. So let's look at this one in particular because I'm seeing it's getting a ton of clicks. So this is not only getting a lot of repins, but people are also clicking through and interested in learning more. So I would click on this pin and I would look at what they're doing right. I would look at the image that they're using. So one thing that stands out right away is on this image, they put text right on the photo. I'd want to mimic that strategy when you're creating images for my website or my content. Putting text on the photo is important. The other thing that they did is, or not necessarily that they did, add the description. And in the description, you can see that we linked right to the website, which is good. We're talking about getting work done could be a keyword, productive could be a keyword, productivity. So these are topics that I could write blog posts about. So now Pinterest can become a source for you for blog post ideas. All right. The other thing that's really good to do with any content here in your most repinned section is to pin these items onto group boards. So let's just kind of have a heart-to-heart for a minute. The way to use group boards efficiently is this. First, you take pins that you think your followers will like, and you pin them onto your own. Then you look in your analytics to see how those pins are performing. Are they getting repins? Are they getting clicks? If they are, then you want to take those pins and put them onto group boards. So you're using your own private boards as the test space and then only pinning great group boards. That's how you can fast track your reach, because you know the content that you're putting on the group boards is a proven track record of success and is likely to attract your ideal customers and people who are likely then to follow you. All right, so let's talk about 2 more areas in analytics before we move on. All right, so now we're back in the analytics screen here, and we have, so know that in all of these sections, the impression section, the repin section, and the click section, you're always going to have a breakdown by pins and a breakdown by boards. The pins are what are going to guide you towards what you should be repinning onto group boards, and the boards are going to guide you as to where you should be putting pins and which boards you should be pinning to most. Okay, now I'm clicking over to the all-time section. Here in the all-time section, we're gonna find like the best content that lives on our profile right now. So we're gonna find the most shared pins here at the top. You definitely want to be repinning these items often. I'd say I go through and repin these pins about once a month. I pin them onto my own boards. So sometimes a pin like this, how do I charge enough? Ever wonder how do I charge enough for my services? This pin is great for my small business board, my best of business board, my group boards. So I can repin this at least once a month onto different places. Then we can find out below pins that are ranking high in search. And now this is where you find keywords that you might want to be creating content for. So for example, if I go here to small business strategies, I can see that this is a work from home tax tip. I put small business strategies in as a keyword, and then we have small business tax tips for women working from home. That is like such a keyword jam-packed sentence. I might create my own blog post called 7 Lessons I Learned as a Small Business Owner Dealing with Taxes and Working from a Home Office. Small business tax tips for women with home offices. So these ideas here can become blog posts, and they can also get repinned onto group boards or your other boards. All right, and again, I can look at the related pins, and I can be repinning this type of content. Okay, back to analytics. The last section under all time, I just want to point out, these are your power pins. So these are the ones that not only rank high in search, but they're also getting repins and clicks. So this is another place to look at the pin, repin it onto more boards, and then add it to a group board. Okay, that's it for now in the Your Pinterest Profile section. What I'm really trying to show you here is that you can use this information. You can use this information, the impressions, the repins, and clicks, to find your top performing pins, your top performing boards, and your power pins. And that's where you want to concentrate your energy on. If you only have 5 minutes on Pinterest, go look at this section, repin your top performing pins, and add them to group boards. Okay. Now, we have a very similar section for the content from our website. And the way to use this information is this. Actually, to demonstrate, I'm going to go back to this nice little diagram here. If your focus is visitors for your website, then in your analytics, the activity from your website section is incredibly important. This is where bloggers and content creators focus most of their energy. If you're simply trying to get brand exposure and more followers, then you want to be focusing more on these two sections, the views and the repins. And this lives under the Your Pinterest Profile tab of your analytics. Okay? So what we established there is that the Your Pinterest Profile tab is going to help us focus on brand exposure, and the activity from our website tab is going to help us get more clicks and website visitors. So it's the same system here in the activity from your website. In fact, I'll show you over in analytics again. Okay, so back over in analytics here again, what we're seeing is top pins, top boards. Same setup as your Pinterest profile. Top pins are the ones that we repin to group boards. Top boards are the boards that we focus on and pin to regularly. Okay, so the other section that we get on the activity from our website are our original pins. When you scroll down, the original pins section is going to give you a really clear idea of what content is performing the best in terms of getting people to your website. So when we look here, we can see that a lot of people right now are pinning this Pinterest stats pin from my website. That's a great indicator that that was a good piece of content and I should create more content like that. So if you are a blogger or you are or you have products on your website that you've pinned, you want to go into the activity from your website section and look at original pins at least every 3 months and get an idea for what's trending. Get an idea for what type of content your audience is really excited about right now. You hit the show more button and kind of dive a little deeper into your pins as well. So I can see here that also this master list seemed to get a lot of traction. And both of those are about Pinterest. It's a good indicator for me to create more content about Pinterest. So if we were looking at your analytics, you might notice both blog articles are about the best wedding venues. And so you might know, hey, I want to create more blog posts about wedding venues because my customers and followers love that type of content. All right, also great to look at the all-time section here. That's where you're going to find the most repinned pins from your website and the pins that are ranking high in search from your website. And of course, the power pins, which are kind of your golden nuggets. And what I've noticed is these three sections tend to have a lot of repeats. They tend to have a lot of the same type of content on them. So use this section and as a guide for what to repin onto group boards. That way, you're getting more exposure for your best performing content and driving more people to your website. Okay, so I want to take just a moment to review what we just covered because I know it can be a little bit cumbersome to swallow. So first of all, know that your analytics are always going to show you your top performing pins and your top performing boards. Take your pins, pin them onto group boards. Look at the boards that are giving you a lot of exposure and make sure you're adding fresh content to those on at least a weekly basis. All right, now we're ready to dive into group boards. So the first thing to think about with group boards is how the heck do you find them? In the 5 pillars video, I gave some indications about how you can find them using PinGroupie, which is a free tool. Now we also have the ability to simply search for group boards on Pinterest. I'll show you that, but you can kind of see here in the screenshot. Whoops. All I did was type in the word group boards up in the search bar and then change the search results so that they're filtered by boards. You're always looking for this little symbol of 2 little heads next to each other in the upper right-hand corner of the board. That tells you it's a group board. You can also look at other people's profiles to get an idea for what group boards you might want to join. You can use PinGroupie, and of course, you can ask your audience. A lot of you might be familiar with the Facebook group Savvy Business Owners by Heather Crabtree. If you were to head into that group and just put out a question like, hey, everybody, I'm looking for great Pinterest group boards about weddings, I bet you'd get a lot of links and a lot of great ideas. So don't hesitate to just ask your audience and ask your network about group boards. Now let's do a quick demo of how to search for group boards on other people's profiles and on Pinterest before we dive in to the PinGroupie demo. Okay, so now here we are back on Pinterest. Up in the search bar, I type in group boards or group board. When I do that search, I see my guided search bar beneath, and I see the ways that I can filter my search results. So I want you to go and filter your search results by boards, which is the option all the way to the right. When you do, you'll notice all of these boards have the 2 little heads in the upper right-hand corner. So these are all group boards. Now, if you want to find topic-specific group boards, you might say something like wedding group boards up in the search bar. Again, make sure you're filtering by boards. Now what we have is a selection of wedding group boards we might be interested in joining. One of the important things to do here is to click into the board so that you can find out how many followers it has and how many contributors it has. So this particular group board has 815 followers and only 2 contributors. This should be an indicator to you that this is not a group board you want to try to join right now. Group boards that have less than 10 contributors are usually kind of a private group board. So if me and my 5 friends all want to contribute to one board, we'll create a group board, but it's not open for other people to join. And this is where PinGroupie really comes in handy. So before I go to PinGroupie, let's take 1 second and talk about looking at other people's profiles to find group boards. Now, if you're in the wedding industry, you might, let me let this load. If you're in the wedding industry, you'll know the people who are considered kind of your influencers in the group. So for this wedding demo, I'm just gonna look up a pinner who pins about weddings often and see if we can find a group board. It's funny, it keeps defaulting to group. Let me see if I can get it to default to weddings. So I typed in wedding, I'm going to pinners. Oh, and it defaulted to group again. Very interesting. Okay, so this worked. So now what I've done is I've searched the word wedding and clicked on pinners. So I'm finding pinners who pin about weddings. These wedding chicks have 4.6 million followers. So I'm going to assume that they're an influencer in the wedding industry. Go to their profile and scroll through their boards and see what other group boards they're a part of and if they'd be relevant for you. So for example, right here, I see that they have a nails group board that they're a part of. Only 2 pinners, not something I can probably join. Click back, scroll through again. I'm going to go to the bottom because usually at the bottom of somebody's profile is where they put their community group boards. So let's see, the 2015 bride. This is a group board hosted by The Knot. I can tell up here because I'm looking at the URL. So this group board is only 2 people again, so this isn't going to be one we can join. I'll try to find one really quick, but this is just really doing a good job of reinforcing getting on PinGroupie as a good tool to use. All right, so this is definitely a better board. So now I found one called Nails. It has well over 10 members, and there's instructions here on how to join. And if I join, I have nearly 2,000 followers that I can reach that might be interested in the wedding industry. All right, so that's an example of how to look at other people's profiles to find group boards you might be interested in joining. Now we're ready to head over to PinGroupie. Okay, so here on PinGroupie, this is a free tool that you can use to search through group boards. And the nice thing about this tool is it allows you to sort your search results by repins and collaborators, as well as followers if you're interested in sorting it by that. My recommendation, and this is something I brought up again in the 5 pillars, but I really want to reinforce, is that you want to be ordering your search results by repins, okay? The repins and clicks are 2 incredibly important factors. It's not about how many people see your pin. It's not about how many people follow a board. It's about do those people and do those viewers then take action? Do they repin or share your content? And do they go the extra step of engaging? So we're going to order our search results by repins. And then we just put in any keyword we want into the title. So I'll put wedding into the title. So this is a demo of how you can find group boards to join. You're going to go to PinGroupie, you're going to order by repins, and you're going to put your keyword here in the title section. Then when you filter the results, you're going to see how many collaborators each board has, how many followers the board has, and how many repins that board is getting. Now, quickly, I can scan through, and if the board has less than 20 collaborators, it's not worth joining because it's likely to be a private group board. So I look for something like this: Bloggers Best Entertaining and Wedding Ideas. This board has 40 collaborators, excuse me, and gets about 966 repins every week. And then beyond that, it has, I'm losing myself, there we go. It has 437,000 followers, which is a ton. Holy moly, definitely get on this board if you're in the wedding industry. Okay, so what do you do once you find a board like that you want to join? You click on the title. That will open the board for you in a new tab. That's where we can see, yes, it in fact does have, you know, almost 440,000 followers. And we can look through, by clicking on the number, we can look through who is adding to this board. Now, here's the tip. Whoever's image is the first one up here in the collaborator section, that's the person who owns this group board. That's the person who you want to ask to invite you to the group board. Now, I'm reading their description. Our bloggers have the best tips from DIY, from recipes to DIYs. And I'm getting the impression that Better Home and Gardens, this is a private group board for just their bloggers. So this is likely not one we can join. So I'll go back to PinGroupie and find another board. So what I did is I just clicked over to page 2. So again, I'm looking for boards that have a high number of collaborators. So we've got a board here with 33,000 followers, 53 people are contributing to the board, and the board is called Wedding Dresses. I'm going to click on the board name. Oh, and a redirect. They must have deleted the board or merged the board. Okay. Well, there's definitely some times where you're going to run into obstacles, but just keep trying. If I were to go over to, let's see if we can find another board. Gorgeous Wedding Dresses. This board had 118 contributors. Oh, and I'm getting redirected again. Okay, well, we're running into some obstacles here, but I can show you how to request to join a group board once you've found one using my group board as an example. Right, so once you've found a group board that has a significant amount of followers, a significant amount of contributors, and it's relevant to your business and you think you want to join it, look at, the first place to look is at the pinned board description. Check out the board description. Usually it has directions on how to join. So for this board, it says to pin to this group board, you need to follow the board, comment on a pin by me, and then you'll get an invite to join the board. You absolutely have to follow the board that you're requesting to join. And you should do that before messaging the board owner for the invite. Now, I'm going to point out once again, whoever's the first picture here in the contributor section, this is the board owner. And when you click on it, or when you look up in the URL, you can see the board owner's username. So scroll through, see if you find a pin by that board owner. And if you don't, then you can comment on somebody else's pin, but the trick here is that you need to tag them in the comment. So you're going to click on a pin, and you're going to use the @ symbol and then the person's username. Then you can ask simply, could I be a contributor to your group board? You can say something nice. You can say, you know, I love your group board. I love the content on here. Could I get an invite to pin? That's another way to say it. So, and then once you leave this comment, that board owner is going to be tagged and get a notification to invite you. Look at your profile first to make sure that you're a fit for what they're offering. So make sure that you've been through the profile perfection video and really set up your profile in a way that you're excited about other people seeing it. You feel really confident about the order that your boards are in and your board cover photos, because that's going to give people an impression of whether or not they should invite you to their group board. All right, so once you've left this comment, then all you're doing is waiting for a notification that asks if you can accept the invite. Okay, so just to review, when you're looking for group boards to join, you can do a search on Pinterest for group boards. You can look at people's profiles for boards that have the little two-headed icon in the right-hand corner, or you can use PinGroupie. Once you find a group board you want to join, look at the description, see if there's directions. If there aren't directions, go ahead and simply tag the board owner in a comment asking if you can join. Then watch for the accept invite notification and you'll be allowed to pin to the board. Know that it's okay to join a group board, pin to it, and then leave it if you're not getting results. So if a group board that you've joined and you've been pinning to regularly isn't giving you repins, clicks, or website visitors, then it's time to leave. Also, know that not all requests to join a group board are accepted or acknowledged. Sometimes group board owners get overwhelmed and they don't respond to all the requests that they're getting. You might have to try requesting 2 or 3 times to different group boards before you get accepted to pin to one. All right. What do you do once you've been accepted to pin to a group board? Well, first thing that you want to do when you've been accepted to pin to a group board is find great content to add to it. You don't want to be the type of group board contributor that only pins your content. It's really obvious to not only you, but all the people following the board if you're only pinning your own content to group boards. So instead, use the tip that I showed you earlier. Go to Pinterest Analytics and look at your top performing pins by repins and clicks. Then pin those pins to group boards that are relevant. There's another feature that I want to help you take advantage of when it comes to using group boards. Have you ever noticed that when you pin something, right after you've added it to your board, 2 little notifications show up on the bottom of your screen? The first acknowledges that the pin has been saved to a board, and the second recommends another board you might want to follow. If you want your board to be the one recommended to follow, then you should be pinning to your board first and then repinning to a group board. This lets Pinterest know that that pin lives on your other board, and that they should be recommending it as one board that repinners might like to follow. The other things that you should know about posting to group boards is that it's a great place to find other ideas of what to pin. So if you're on group board A, which is about weddings, and there's some content on there that you see is really popular and getting repinned often, and you know it might also be appropriate to pin to group board B, then go ahead and use that as an idea of what to pin. So go ahead and pin that to group board B. The more pins that you get out there, the higher impressions you'll get. The more impressions, the more people you reach. The more people you reach, the more people will click and repin and eventually visit your website. All right. So we covered a lot about analytics and about joining group boards so far today. Where we're going to focus the rest of today's presentation is on hosting group boards. Very simple to execute task, but in the end, it is an added responsibility. If you're going to be the owner of a group board, you need to consider a few key questions. First, though, let's talk about why you might want to host a group board. Hosting a group board means that your board is shown on all of your contributors' profiles. This is huge in terms of brand exposure for you. It also helps you get more followers faster because your board is, people can follow your board if they're looking at any of your contributors' boards. So in a different way, let me just use a real life example. One of my clients, their company is Earth Living Clay. They created a group board called Holistic Health Remedies. Now, they currently have over 80 people contributing to that board. That means their holistic and natural remedies board lives on 80 different profiles on Pinterest. And so anybody who's looking at any of those 80 profiles, Earth Living Clay with one click. Hosting a group board can be great in terms of helping you get followers faster and brand exposure. Another added benefit of hosting a group board is it establishes some credibility for you in your industry. Now, before you open a group board, there's 4 key questions you need to consider. First of all, what keyword are you going after for your group board? In the members area, there's a video about how to do your keyword research. You want to find a keyword that is relevant for your company and attractive to your customers. Then use that in your board name. So if your keyword is wedding dresses, then you might name your group board, let's see, you might name it something like elegant wedding dresses, or stylish wedding dresses, or trends in wedding gowns. Something that is not only your keyword, but gives it a little more specificity, or another detailed word to it. Then you have to consider, how are people going to join your group board? I've seen people on group boards that say you need to email them to request to join. I've seen people say you need to comment on a pin to request to join. I've seen people who open their group board up saying you can pin to it and you can invite your friends to pin to it too. So in that case, they're giving a lot of freedom to the contributors. What you'll the answer to this question, how will people join, is you want to make sure that you tell people how to join in your board description. So this edit your board image that you're seeing, this is how you're setting up your board. And so you're going to tell people the name of your board, how to join. You absolutely, undoubtedly should pick a category for your board and pick a captivating, eye-catching cover photo. Then you need to ask people to join in the collaborators section. So here, question number 4 says, who are your core pinners? When you're starting a group board, you need to think of people to invite to just show people that it's a group board. So invite your friends, invite your networking buddies, invite your preferred vendors, invite everybody that you know would pin great content about this topic. Not everybody you invite will actually join, but it's a good idea to invite a lot of people to kind of get the ball rolling. Then you need to ask yourself, who's going to monitor the content that gets pinned to a group board? So one of the big responsibilities that happens with group boards is you're attaching your face and your name to content that other people are pinning. And you want to make sure that it's high quality content and it gets a lot of repins. So let's click over to my group board and I'll show you that how, if you're a host of a group board, you can be monitoring your group board and make sure that it remains a high quality place. Okay, so here we are on my entrepreneur group board. And excuse me, there we go. Here we are on my entrepreneur group board. And what we're seeing is, you know, I have about 90 contributors to the board. And I have noted, I've put a little note here in the description that pins, I might delete pins that don't get at least 2 repins. So there's a trick with Pinterest, which is you want Pinterest to see you as somebody who gets a lot of repins. You want them to see you as popular. And if you have a lot of pins attached to your account that aren't getting repinned, Pinterest sees you as kind of dead weight. So it's good to delete pins that aren't getting repinned. We talked about this in the profile perfection section, but I just wanted to reinforce it now. Okay, back to the group board. So when I scroll through, I can see, I see who are my quality pinners. So I see, you know, Dre here, she pinned this just a little bit ago and it already has 3 repins. So that's great. If I continue to scroll down, I might look for pins that don't have repins, or like, for example, this pin here. Guess what I'm getting up to with the video from Vimeo? To me, this is a poor quality pin. So I would click on it and I might ask Lena, the pinner, to elaborate. Or I might watch the video and then leave a comment that describes more about what this pin is like. Or third option, I can hit the edit button and I can then delete the pin. So if there's a pin on your group board you don't like, you as the board owner get the option to delete it. All right, other things that you need to be aware of in your group board, always check for spam. Now, I've established a really good reputation with this board, so I don't get a lot of spam on it. You might find people are posting, you know, before and after weight loss ads, or pins that are super salesy, or duplicate pins. All of these things are considered spam, and it's okay to delete them. All right, now let's just show you what I meant by hosting your group board means it shows up on your pinners' profiles. So let's go over to Drea's profile here by clicking on her picture. So Dre has over 6,000 followers. And when we scroll down, you'll see that about halfway down her profile, there's my board on her profile. So if people are visiting Dre's profile on Pinterest, they are one click away from being able to follow my board. Also, this is a great place for me to get other ideas of other group boards I might want to join. Okay. All right, so we've talked a lot today about what are the stages people go through when they're turning from a viewer into a customer. We've talked about how we can use Pinterest Analytics to identify our best pins and related content, other content our fans are likely to love because they love the stuff that we already had. Then we looked at how to find our best performing boards. These are the boards you want to continue to pin to regularly. That's going to help skyrocket your reach. We also dove into how to find group boards and how to request to join them. And then we talked about how to host a group board and what are the benefits of hosting a group board. To wrap up today's presentation, I just want to talk to you about that step, those processes one more time, and why it's so important to thinking about these 4 steps in terms of your marketing sales funnel. So we're going to dive back into the presentation for just a moment. Consider what's your focus. If you are looking at your website and you have lots of website visitors, but you don't have any sales, check out your offer. Maybe your offer isn't speaking to your audience. Look at your landing page. Maybe the process is too confusing. Check out your packaging. Maybe people are looking for bundles or added bonuses that you're not offering yet. These things can help change website visitors into customers. Now, if you're getting a lot of clicks on your Pinterest pins, but not getting a lot of website visitors, you should be checking the bounce rate. This is a number that you find in Google Analytics. You can look up the bounce rate of individual pages. And if I recall properly, you're going to go to your analytics screen. You're going to go to audience and then acquisition. Check out under acquisition, go to social, then go to overview. And that's where you're going to see Pinterest as one of your social traffic referrals. And then you can find the individual bounce rates from each pin. Now, if you have a high bounce rate, try seeing if the pin really matches the content that people are seeing when they land on your website. Also, make sure that you have calls to action in your images and your pin descriptions. That will get people to click all the way through to the article. Now, if you have a lot of views, but you don't have a lot of repins, then start adjusting the images that you use and the way you write your descriptions. By adjusting this text, you might add a call to action. You might say something like, save this for later, or you've got to check out tip number 3 in this article. Things like that will encourage people to repin the pin, saving it for later or sharing it with others. Lastly, if you have lots of pins but you're not getting a lot of impressions or views, make sure that the group boards that you've joined are really relevant for your business. Keep playing with which group boards you're a member of until you find ones that are really result producing for you. They give you a lot of repins and a lot of clicks when you add things to them. Also, look at your analytics to find out what content is performing best on your profile. That way, you might get an idea for what type of stuff you should be pinning more often. Okay, so we're going to wrap up a little bit early today, and I think that's okay because it looks like I did get a couple of notes that you guys are crunched for time, so that's okay. Anyways, I feel like today we covered a lot of key information. We know where to look on our profile to find out our best pins. That will give us an indicator of what's our best content. Then we know what boards to be pinning to, because we're going to look at our analytics and find out which boards are giving us the best results. We know how to find content our fans are going to love by looking at the related content to our best performing pins and analytics. You know how to solve the problem of getting views and repins by finding the right group boards to join. You know to use PinGroupB and sort by repins, looking for boards with lots of contributors and lots of repins. Then you're going to make sure that you're pinning to your boards first and repinning only the best content onto the group boards. Once you've got an established system for identifying your best content and pinning to group boards, you might consider hosting a group board. Choose your keyword wisely, tell people how to join your group board in the description, and make sure that you're monitoring the group board, keeping it high quality and deleting anything that might be considered spam. Check often to see if people have left you comments requesting to join your board. And to add them, simply click on the red invite button and begin typing their Pinterest username. Lastly, consider where your focus should be in your Pinterest activities. What is your goal? Impressions so that you can get more repins, clicks, and then visitors? Do you have a lot of views on your pins, but you're not getting repins or clicks? Look at your calls to action. Change up your descriptions and see if those activities convert more people into website visitors. If you're getting a lot of visitors from Pinterest, but not converting sales, check your website. See if maybe how you're presenting your offer or the packaging that you're using is really speaking to your customer. Those items will help you get more sales from pinners and from general website visitors. All right, I hope you learned a lot today. So, I'm available by email if you have any follow-up questions. You can always reach me at Danielle@mmmsocialmedia.com. I'll put this replay up in the members area, and be sure to watch your Pinterest Analytics tour to help get a feel for how you can use that tool and where all the different options are. All right. Really take some time this week, spending at least 15 minutes a day on Pinterest. Work on your profile, check out your keywords, and find group boards worth joining. If you've done all of that, focus on identifying your power pins and making sure you're putting that content out time and time again onto new boards and group boards. I'm sure that these activities are going to help you reach more people and make Pinterest the #1 source of website traffic for you. I'm available if you have questions, and just stick at it. Remember, 15 minutes a day for the next week. All right, have a great Wednesday, and I'll see you soon.